Hi, this is Dhruv.
And this is John.
And this is week 26 of the devlog.
This week's topic is whether or not indie small companies, small studios should even try to do open world. And I think recently, it's Rage 2, a really big, really good game, really good moment-to-moment combat, but because of the open world, it really dragged it down. And I think as most indies, when they start, they want to create some sort of fantasy world, and open world tends to be the first one they go to. So do you think it's a good idea to do open world as an indie?
So my idea is that you have to define your open world very well. If you just say open world for the sake of saying open world, then I think that that's a really bad idea.
What's your definition of open world?
So again, it depends on the game. Some people think open world means that you have a really big world filled with things to do, and there's just, it's like a Skyrim or a Fallout type of game. That is one type of open world, but I think in general open world means that you can go anywhere in the world. There's nothing stopping you from going to a certain location. There's no level by level, oh, you have to finish this level, then this level. It's just straight up, I can go anywhere I want.
Is Metroidvania or, let's say, Hollow Knight open world for you?
I wouldn't say so. I would say that's a Metroidvania type game is close, I think, but I think it goes away from the open world format because there is a sequenced order of doing things.
So personally, I actually think indies should try to do open world, but I'm really more curious as what's the stigma against indies doing open world?
I think it's because they're small. Most of the time indies are small. In order to make an open world, it either takes a lot of time or a lot of money, both of which are really
lacking
hard.
As indies.
Yeah, as an indie developer, you're not going to probably be able to invest that much money into it, and so then you're going to have to invest a lot of time. And that amount of time can be spent making other games that better your game design and things before you go into making such a big project that is an open world.
Wait, are you suggesting there are some things that are, easier or something you have to do first before you do open world?
Yes, I do.
Like what kind of game?
I would say a really easy type of game is like an arcade shooter or something that's small, 3-month project that you can finish when you first start off, especially. But again, it depends on your experience. We're working on an open world game right now, and that's because we really like to do open world games. We never made an arcade shooter when we first started off, but hey, we haven't really made money yet, so I don't know.
I want, because like how would doing an arcade world help you do open world better later on?
I think it would help you. It wouldn't help in specifically in open world, but I think it would help in game design.
So you
it would
think
help you come up with a good process of making games, see that there's much more involved, and it's something, it seems so kind of easy to make an arcade shooter, but you realize that you can very easily go off track, you can easily make more than you need to make. It's very easy to mess up when you're making a game, and it's so when you keep the scope small, you can mess up and still be able to finish your project and not get demotivated, versus making an open world starting off, then you mess up, and then at the end you've worked 3-4 years and you haven't been able to release your project.
So you think the gatekeepers are the scope and game design experience?
Yes.
Okay. I think, I don't know if it's controversial, but I actually now at this point I'm actually would say and urge indies to actually do an open world as their first. But I do think it's possible to do a small scoped open world. And what I mean by that is I kind of feel like most people who are making games have an idea of a fantasy world that they're trying to build. And I would say most likely your first project's probably not going to do too well. But when you tackle the hardest thing, like, dude, come on, our very first game, we did an RPG with attempted open world with certain things and all. And then we got slapped really, really hard in the face when we did not finish it after like a whole year's of work, and it was just all wasted time. But we immediately learned that scope is a really big deal. So I'm not saying I'm not suggesting that doing an open world to fail is a good idea and all that stuff, but I definitely think when you're doing an open world, it helps you learn how each piece is when you have an open sheet, a big sheet of paper, and you can do whatever you want, you're going to go off track and all that stuff. But after a while, I think once you have some sort of shape drawn out, then you will start following and zooming into this stuff. And I think, especially right now, how you guys all seen a lot of AAA companies are trying to do open world, trying to jam open worlds and stuff. I think Dynasty Warriors 9 or something, whatever it is. There's too many Dynasty Warriors. The one that they had open world and then they screw up really, really big time. I think that's a really good example. Is that I think open world is fading out personally. In AAA is actually one of the main common criticism people is, oh, I don't like open world. I think open world is bad here and all that stuff. And I feel like they're jumping the gun really too quickly. I think open world is great for you to learn how, like for example, for Brave Eduardo, what we try to do in open world is every single second that you're moving, also there's something to see, there's something to do, and then you're not just open world for open world's sake, role play, not just that. And we recently just finished a weather system, and I think that weather system affects gameplay, so then this world is more alive. And don't you enjoy when you're working in a world and you can imagine like, oh, what is it like it daytime, nighttime, different weather, and like different places happening and all that stuff?
I definitely think so, but we've had that experience going through so much, and I don't know if that's the thing I would recommend for everybody. I mean, everybody's different, but I feel like if you're going to start off, depends on where you are in your indie journey. If you're going to start off your first game being an open world game, you're not going to have those principles down of, oh, you have to like focus or you have to make a certain game. I mean, you have to make we only have right now around 4 maps. John's already made like way more maps than that, but we've only been really polishing and changing 4 maps. And it's because we've learned from the past certain amount of time that, hey, this is how you start off with small packets and then you make it. That's how we've learned our process. And I think if you start off making an open world game, then you're going to learn the process, but you might become demotivated after a year or two. And it's very easy to be like, oh, I want to make a really good game that has a lot of cool characters and all these things. Everybody kind of wants to do that, I think, but it's very hard to then really put that into a game and into a engine without having any prior experience in anything. Just because you're going to the code is going to get messy. You're going to have differences in art. Maybe when you go into different maps, you might be like, hey, you might not keep your consistency in terms of your style. You might change that. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and it's so many things that can go wrong that I would say that you're almost guaranteed to have something go wrong. And so there is a possibility that you'll learn from it, but I'm saying that it's better, in my opinion, to learn from a smaller game first.
I can see that, and I think a way to get past that, while I agree with you, a way to pass that is follow us too, and I think we are quite literally pouring out our experience. If someone had told us what we have learned now in the past, I think we could have skipped 3-4 years of kind of just wandering around, or just join our Patreon. You can immediately start talking to us on Discord, and maybe we can share opinions, share ideas, and then come up with new stuff that might make the next big game that we don't know, the next Diablo or whatever it is.
Yeah, so that's pretty much a segue to saying please subscribe and like this video.
Yeah, the engagement really, really helps us, and if you guys want to check out Patreon, that'll be nice too. But that should be it for this week.
Yeah, also remember to comment.
Yeah, please do. All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.